Okay, so I've had a request from an apprentice for a bit of a tutorial on basic shoemaking because he's struggling a little bit. So I've got a couple of pieces of 3/4 7/16, 12 3/4 inches long. I'm just going to centre them up and get them in the fire. Now, unfortunately, if your governor doesn't do a lot of shoemaking, if he uses machine maids all the time, you're really going to struggle with this. You really need practice, practice, practice. That's all it comes down to, really. And one of the first tips is make sure you've got a pair of tongs that fit. Now these need to hold it really good and tight so it doesn't move anywhere, otherwise you'll be struggling from the word go. So make sure your tongs fit. Tip 1. So while they're heating up, I'm just going to check my tools, make sure that they are sharp and that they match the repair, which these actually aren't, so I'm just going to give them a little tickle, tidy them up a bit. So if you're making shoes just to get prepared for your exams, then you need to get in there at forge at all hours, before work, after work, weekends, whenever you can get forge time. Just get the practice, 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 practice. That's all it comes down to. If your boss will give you, a few demos, then great. But one of my next tips: get an old shoe, one that looks about right. Keep it somewhere handy. Have it next to your forge, on the floor, wherever you can, just so you can use it as a bit of a guide. If you're turning the shoe and you struggle, just offer it up, and that'll help. But it is just practice, practice, practice. Right, they're warming up nicely. A bit of air under it. Excuse me. Right, I'm using this old turning hammer. It's an old mustard, I think it is, or diamond, I'm not sure which. Had it for donkey's years, but it's nothing special. There's my next tip, your handle. If it doesn't fit your hand properly, make it fit. Get an old rasp, file it down, then get a bit of sandpaper, smooth it all off, make it fit your hand. If you've got tiny little hands, you're not going to get anywhere trying to hold on to a great big fat handle. So make it fit, make it comfortable, anything to make this job a little bit easier. These handles are bog standard, they're not designed to fit everybody, so make it fit. Now I spent best part of, I don't know how many months of my apprenticeship standing here behind the fire making shoes with my governor. I would fire for him, making sure that each one was hot, ready for it to come out. So when he'd finished one on the anvil, chucked it to me, the next one was ready. And we always did a set at a time, never pairs. It was always a set. And woe betide me if it wasn't hot enough or I burnt it. And that way I spent lots and lots of times watching how he was doing it. And that's a big part of shoemaking, or big part of anything. Watching how it's done and practice. So if your governor doesn't do a lot, ask another apprentice. If there's an apprentice higher up than you, see if he'll help you. Other than that, just get anvil time. Right, we must be nearly ready. Get a wire brush. Now I don't generally use a wire brush, but for the purposes of the demonstration, it does make a cleaner shoe if you get all the scale off beforehand. Funnily enough, there's not too much on there tonight. Right, you don't want a big long bend or big long heat, otherwise you'll get a really uneven bend. So quite a short toe heat, and then hit either side of the centre mark until you get to, I go roughly just over 90. They say in the book's 90, but I like to go just over. But whatever you're comfortable with. And work it on the anvil until it's right. You see, that's not bad, that's over 90. It's a little bit off one side. But get it right. Everything you do past this depends on your toe bend. If your toe bend's not right, there's no point carrying on. So get your toe bend right. Obviously don't spend hours and hours, but check it up against your specimen. See, that's pretty good. I'll be happy with that as a toe bend. And then we'll get the toenails put in. Let's get the other one bent. Normally I'd put the toenails in as I'm doing it, but while I'm trying to talk to you about it, it's not going to happen. So again, shortish bend either side of the centre. Never hit right against the anvil, against the steel, because you'll just squash it, which you don't want to do. Now you can use the anvil like that to round off the toe bend a bit more. You can use the back of the anvil there to even it out. Use your anvil, work it. There's places on the anvil for virtually doing everything. Knock it about, keep trying it up against your specimen if you're struggling until you get something that you're happy with. See, that's just over 90, quite a nice bend. I'm happy with that. That'll do me. And so I would normally put my toenails in, but this is about where you want to put them. You want that anvil just going through the back of there, so you can just see the anvil. You run a straight edge across there. Balance that there, and then you want your toenails, one there and one about there, so the line through the anvil crosses through the middle of your holes, or maybe just the bottom of your holes, but round about your holes. So line it up with the anvil, just roughly mark it, and I'm just getting the idea, and then put it in properly. Couple of good hits. Now over the corner of your hardy hole, it's much easier than trying to get it over your pritchel hole, because if you're not used to it, you'll end up bending your pritchel because you're not quite over the hardy hole, over the pritchel hole. So we're going to do the outside branch next. But if you get any little distortions from putting your nail holes in, just give them a tiny little tidy up over the beak, but try not to damage it. You don't want to work it too hard, because you'll end up squashing it and distorting it even further. So it's all light controlled blows. You're not beating the crap out of it at every moment. So now we're going to go to heels. 45 degrees, bring it up. It's simple as that. That angle, whack it down. Got that one a bit hot. I think I've burnt that one a little bit. But again, if you do, don't panic. As long as it's not burnt in half, just get on with it. So, start it flat, bring it up to about 45 degrees, hitting on the heel. You can also do it this way, turn it over and bash it down that way. I often do a combination of both, so whichever you're comfortable with. And there you can see, nice little short, about a 45 degree. Oh, can't see. Hang on, move the camera. Alright, so you've done your heel, over the anvil or the beak at a bit of an angle. Your right hand stays virtually up and down, and you drop your left hand. And then just at the end you bring your left hand back up to form that heel properly. Keep checking it against your specimen. Alter it a little bit if it needs it. Just get it somewhere near. Open it up. Take it on a bit. Round off the heel. But again, you're never hitting against the anvil. You're always in front of the where you'd be squeezing it against the anvil. And that's not bad. That'll do for now. Touch more on. Right. Let's set out the nail holes. So we've got our toenail in. Your heel nail wants to go about halfway between your toenail and your heel. So between there and there. So that is roughly, I'm trying to guess it. It's funny when you actually set out to do it, it's harder than when it just comes naturally and you just do it. So it's about there. Again, I'm just marking them lightly just to give me a guide. You can just about see them there. And keep it level. You see that? Yeah, get the idea. We'll knock them in now. My camera actually makes this steel look a lot hotter than it is. You don't need it that brightly coloured to put nail holes in. You can do it almost black. Again, over the corner. Let's give them a tap, knock them out. If your stamp and pritchel are working properly, they should drop out. It should be all over the floor. Yeah, they've all gone. It's a miracle. Doesn't always happen. Right, now you'll see you've got a bit of a wavy edge where you've punched them all. Don't worry. Gentle, gentle on the anvil. Just gently knocking them out. Carry on right up to the heel. And then do the other edge, because that will be the same distortion. But again, gentle, gentle, gentle. You're not beating the crap out of it. Keep it level. And then because you've done that, you will have squashed your holes up a little bit, so just another light pritcheling. Open them up again. Square them up. There you go. Now ordinarily I'd do the heel at the same time, but for the purposes of demonstration I'm going to do it afterwards. So we'll get the other branch done. I'll do the outside of this other shoe. All in one go now. Bring it up, whack it down. Another couple there. Over the edge at an angle. You can see you do that angle so it doesn't twist. If you don't do that angle, it'll twist. I see a lot of people trying to put it over straight and it just twists to buggery. There you go. That's not bad for the first go. Then work out your nail holes again. Upright. A little bit of pitch. A little bit more pitch. And your pitch obviously has got to follow the angle of the foot. And again, it's something that comes with practice. Now, it didn't all come out that time. It's more like my normal. Try and get them off. Don't want to bang them back into the steel, especially if you're making these as specimens. Again, rub off that wavy edge. Gently, gently, gently. You're not trying to alter the shape or anything there. You're just literally trying to knock that wavy edge back in. And then again, gently open them up. Simple as. Right, let's see if we can do the inside branch. So this is almost identical, except you start off by just safing off the inside, about the last third, set it at an angle slightly on the anvil. Just very couple of light blows just to set that in, and then continue with your heel. It all becomes a one fluid motion eventually. And then again, angle, right hand stays up and down, drop your left hand, bring it up for the heel. You get it right. This is where you can be checking it against your specimen. Again, use your anvil, line it up. Make sure it looks straight. Now your inside heel nail wants to be about half a hole lower than your outside one. So again, eyeball it up. You can even use a ruler if you're that struggling. Put a ruler across it, drop it down half a notch. Knock them out. Keep it level. Don't spend too long levelling out and titting about, because at the end of the day you want to be making these to use them, and you can't spend hours and hours and hours at it. If you make a mistake, move on. Just note the mistake and correct it on the next one. That's if you're making these for your governor to use. If you're just making them for specimens, you can spend a little bit more time, but at the end of the day you don't want to be wasting steel. You want your governor to be able to put these on. So get it finished, don't chuck it, get it finished and move on to the next one. Right, that's not bad. It's not perfect, but it's okay. I can tit about with it later when we're clipping it. For now, let's get the next one done. It is literally, I can't stress enough how much it is just practice, and use your specimen, or use your what's it, have it on your anvil, have it on wherever, just keep checking it. You know, even if you use a machine made shoe that's come straight out the bag, they're pretty good shape, or you can just shape it up to how you really like it before you start. Get one that you like. Just keep it knocking about. You know, have a bag full of them at different sizes, so when you're making a 12-inch, you've got a 12-inch to check against. You're making a 15-inch, you've got a 15-inch to check against. Whatever you're making, have one lying about. Now again, slight angle, last third, gentle tapping, straight into your heel. Make it proper. Angle. Right hand up and down, drop your left hand, bring it up for the heel. Might sound repetitive, but that's exactly what it is. You get into a, what's the word, you know, a routine. Use your anvil again, make sure everything's level. Eyeball that one, half a hole down from your outside heel now. You don't need to belt the crap out of this. You see, that didn't look as if I was hardly hitting it. Well, I'm not. If your tools are sharp, you really don't need to beat the crap out of it. That's when you start bending tools and really distorting your shoes. Doesn't need to happen. I just want to pull that on a little bit more and take that wavy edge off again. Finish off at the heel. Clean your holes out, make sure they're square again. And that really is it. So now we can do get the heels done. See, that I'd be happy with. I'd knock that on, no problem. Every day of the week that would drop on. So let's do your heels. Years ago, when we had penciled heels, you'd hold your shoe at a silly angle like that. No more. It's all straight up and down now with upright heels. Makes life a lot easier. I'm sorry you can't see very well. The start of the camera isn't focused, but you get the idea. Work from the bottom of the heel up over the top, just round off the very outside. A little touch down the back. Take any burrs off. Oh, of course it won't focus, but you get the idea. The outside's fairly straight. The inside's Got a nice shape to it. So normally I would do this as I've made the branch, so it'd be much colder, which is harder work, but when you're doing it this hot, it's easier, but it can mean that the outside branch, or the branch, bends a bit, so you've got to go back on the anvil and level it out again. But there you go, swings and roundabouts. You can see a bit better there, the shape of that heel. Start at the bottom, work up, round up over the top, a little bit on the outside. Keep most of the work on the inside, so the outside is fairly upright. Oh, my light's just gone out. I think my battery's gone dead. Again, this is all for commercial shoeing. This isn't, you know, I'm not making specimens, I'm not show shoeing. But all these techniques you can apply to your specimen shoes or show shoeing, just, you know, spend a bit more time on it. But this is commercial shoeing. You know, if you're making these for your governor to go out shoeing with, and for you to go out shoeing with, you need a bit of speed. You can't spend hours and hours and hours. Get your technique right, and then you can spend the time titting about with specimen shoes. Now those aren't bad. I haven't made shoes for months and months and months, and that's not a bad little pair, considering I haven't spent a lot of time titting with them. They'll do me. So anyway, let's get some clips on them. Right, I use a clipping hammer, which is basically a modified ball peen. I've just drawn the ball out into this shallow point, which is about 3/8 or 5/16 square at the bottom. I've tried bob punches and things like that, but I just can't get on with it. This is the way I was taught, this is the way I was brought up, and this is the way I've always done it. So you just do whichever way you are happiest with, but this is my preferred method. Again, it doesn't really need to be as hot as that looks. In fact, it isn't as hot as that looks. Just over the anvil slightly. Bash it in the same spot until you get a nice little bobble sticking out the bottom. Level it out, you can see that little nibble. Over the other edge. And whack it. And you're bringing it back towards yourself. You're not just hitting down, you're pulling back towards yourself to draw that clip right out. And level it out. Level it out behind. Over the beak. Push back in any distortion that you've made. And set the clip. Again, without squashing it. You're not beating it to death. You're just tickling it back in. Now that clip's not particularly good, it's gone off to one side, but again, for commercial shoeing, absolutely fine. If I wanted to tit about with it, I could just file it up a little bit, but that would be fine for everyday work. Then again, just square up your holes with a little bit of back pritchling. I don't care who you are, you can't get away without a bit of back pritchling. Again, it's just a touch, it's not, you're not whacking it in. Just squaring them back up again. Make sure it's level. Again, don't spend too much time. You can always do that when you're out on a job. And there you go, that's not a bad little shoe. Let's get the other one done. Over the edge. Drag out a little nibble. Level it out. Pull it back towards you. Pull it back, pull it back, pull it back. Now that's a much better clip that time. Level it out. Level it out behind. Over the anvil, over the beak. Set it. Close it up, because they quite often will spread when you clip. That's one thing to be aware of. So you can always just give it a little tap, close it up again. Again, run around the edge, tidy it up. This is all stuff that will start to come naturally the more you do it. It's practice, practice, practice. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's what it is. And then again, a little back pritchel. Now, I don't make many shoes because I don't do much shoeing these days, but I'd be happy to whack them on, no bother. That's a much better clip. See, that's straight off the bat, no titting about. I'll be happy with that all day long. So let's give them a clean up and have a good look. Give them a quick wire brush. Now, as I say, it's not perfect, but that would drop on any day of the week. Nice and clean. And so the clip's not bad. This one's a little bit worse. That's the worst clip, and the shape of this one's not quite so good, but I could always file that up if you wanted to. This is the one I burnt. It's not quite such a good shape, but it still drop on. So let's test the nails. This is a size 5, quite nice for 3/4, 7/16. Dead upright at the heel. So I've got one right. A little tiny bit of pitch. Next one in. A little bit more pitch. Difficult to see, but there you go. And toenail, much more pitch. Try the other side. Now you see, just fall in and don't fall out. You push them in, they don't fall out. That's the sign of a good nail hole. Don't want any slop, but they don't want to drop out. So let's have a little recap. Toe bend. Get your toe bend right before you do anything else. If that's not right, everything else will go to cock. Get your toenails in. Put your heel nail in halfway between your heel and your toenail, roughly. Then spread the other two out, obviously evenly. Your inside heel, set the branch in. Actually, I've forgotten about the heels. So you've done your heel, you've done it up 45, you've turned it over, you've given it a knock. So then you do your inside branch. You're safe off your inside. You do your other heel. You put your heel nail half a hole down from your outside heel nail. And again, spread your inside ones evenly. Then you can start titting about a little bit once you've got it right. But don't spend a lot of time. It's just purely practice, practice, practice. If you make a mistake, don't worry. Like this one, I burnt it. Doesn't matter, as long as it's not falling in half, carry on, forget about it. Get it right on the next one. Similarly, if you get your nail holes wrong, don't worry. If it's too far back, it doesn't matter. You can put another one further down, so at least you can use the shoe. Just do it, get on, put it out your mind, get on with the next ones. So, I hope that's helped. You know, it really is just practice, practice, practice. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.